Hi, this is Max Beattie and you're listening to the Physical Performance Show.
Failure is not an option.
I've had my ups and my downs.
I think it's an absolutely breakthrough experience.
Welcome to the Physical Performance Show, the show designed to inspire the pursuit of your physical best performance. I'm your host, Brad Beer. Listen in as we delve into how the world's top physical performers achieve their success, as well as the highs, the lows, and the journey of getting there. Let's get ready, set, let's go.
Listeners, welcome to another episode of the Physical Performance Show, the show that goes behind the scenes of the world's most inspiring and best physical performers. And today, I'm joined by 4 times New Zealand Ironman Surf Lifesaving Champion, twice team member of the World Championship winning Ironman team, New Zealand team, and 3rd this year in the 2016 Australian Ironman final up at Mooloolaba, otherwise known as Aussies. So introducing Max Beattie. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Max, straight out of the gate, what's one thing that scares you?
One thing that scares me is acupuncture, flying and getting old. There's 3 of them.
Start with the first, acupuncture.
Yeah.
What scares you about that?
I've just never really liked needles. I just remember growing up and always being petrified of them, and so as soon as I had to go to a physio and start getting them done, I was always on edge, and I just think they never really did the trick. So if I can do any other treatment except acupuncture, I'll do it.
So as your physiotherapist, I should remember that.
Yeah, I have to remind you every now and then.
Flying, did you say?
Yeah, flying. Yeah, I don't know about that one either. I suppose it's that element of not being in control of, I don't know, a 40-ton object that's trying to get you, I don't know, from A to B. Yeah, it's really weird. I don't know what happens. I start sweating. I don't like people talking to me, but yeah, I suppose it's a necessary evil.
And what was the middle one?
Getting old is the last one.
What scares you about getting old?
Oh, God, everything. God, not being able to do stuff, not being all there mentally, it freaks me out when I see him. Yeah,
Sam,
it's shocking to say.
Max, how many years are you?
I'm 24.
24.
Yeah.
So at what point do you feel that you start to get old?
Oh, I'm starting to feel it now.
At 24.
Yeah.
All right. Max, tell me, how did you get into your sport? The world of Ironman, surf lifesaving, Ironman.
I basically grew up as a grommet down on the south coast of New South Wales, and I was always around the beach. I loved the beach, loved surfing. My family were always there, and I suppose it was a natural progression. From just being at the beach. Our parents wanted me to be safe there, me and all my siblings. So from just hanging around the beach and signing up for nippers, it was all just a part of it, and I suppose part of growing up in Australia, really.
And what point did you realise that you had some ability?
I was always pretty gifted in a fair few areas. I did a lot of swimming when I was younger. I played lots of sports, and I suppose it wasn't until maybe I was 16 or 17 I had a couple of sports to pick from, because the goal for me is always to be a professional athlete. So I got to about 16 or 17, and there was a couple in the mix, and I thought that Ironman was not only the one I liked the most, but the one I thought I had the best shot at. So that was the one I picked.
What were the other sports that were in the mix?
I played really high level AFL. I played for Queensland when I was a bit younger. What else did I do? I did a lot of junior swimming growing up. It was mainly between Aussie rules and surf lifesaving.
And what was it about surf lifesaving that won over?
I suppose that element of being outdoors. I always loved the surf. I mean, I lived up in Brisbane for most of my senior schooling, so it was kind of hard for me to get down here and train all the time. So I suppose not always being there around it made me really like it when I did get down there. I didn't really realise it until now. Oh, not until now. I always thought I really liked team sports, but I sort of like that individual element of surf lifesaving, where everything that you do and your performance is based around how you're doing what you're doing. You don't have to worry about teammates, coaches, or anything like that. It's all sort of on you. And I think without really realising it, that was probably the thing that I liked the most as opposed to Aussie rules anyway.
What is it about that you enjoy?
The no excuses element of it. If something happens, it's on me. I don't have, you know what I mean? I don't have to have... there's no awkwardness between teammates or anything like that. And I suppose now growing up, I'm actually okay with doing teams is actually my favourite part of doing surf lifesaving. Like I said, I was in the last 2 World Championships teams with New Zealand. My Surfers Paradise teammates are all my best friends. So it actually is now one of the biggest reasons I do surf lifesaving. But definitely growing up, sort of late teens, I was pretty selfish and I didn't mind the glory. I didn't like sharing it.
Yeah, right. And so going from late teens to 24, how does your mindset change in that time? It's only a few short years.
Yeah, it changed a lot this year when I moved to Surfers Paradise Surf Club. A lot of surf clubs I've been to, it's a win at all costs mentality, and it's you know what I mean, it's dog eat dog and that sort of thing. But this year, joining Surfers Paradise and some of the people I've got around me have made me realise that it's a lot bigger than that, and it's not just about winning and results and all that sort of stuff. It's about actually developing as a person and then enjoying the sport, to its fullest ability and really embracing it. And so that's probably what I like the most about it.
Have you found that shift in focus has translated to better results?
Yeah, big time. I think I sort of look back on it now, and when I moved out of home, when I was living up in Brisbane, I moved down to Gold Coast with the Northcliffe Club for 3 or 4 years. I feel like I just wasted my time a bit. I didn't really have a direction or an end goal, or I had lots of friends and I had good times. And I did work hard. I can't deny that, but there was definitely that element missing where I just needed a bit more guidance from somebody else. So in hindsight, I'm a little bit bitter about my early 20s, late teens, because I probably didn't take the opportunities that were presented to me. But this year, moving over to Surfers Paradise, I left no stone unturned. I did all the right things. I got a great training crew, great coach, great physio, and I ticked all the boxes and had the best year of my career for sure.
Best year of your career? What's been a highlight to date?
It's pretty flattering when you have to pick one. The third this year in the Australian Ironman final was something that I didn't think was going to be possible, at least for the next couple of years. I know I had a good year and I definitely ticked a lot of the boxes, but for me it was to come top 6 in the Aussie Ironman final, which even I thought was a stretch. I was nervous. I felt like throwing up before the Ironman semi-final, and I wasn't really in a good place. But when you get to that final, there's no pressure on me. It wasn't my race to win, so I just went out there and put it all on the line, and a podium finish was a dream come true.
So in the semi-final, Max, you said that there was no pressure on you, but yet you were nervous. What were you nervous about?
Oh, it's hard to say, you know what I mean? You put that expectation on yourself. The Aussie Ironman final is put on this pedestal in our sport where if you make it, it's the last 15 minutes of the season, and it's, no matter what you've done all year, if you can get in that final and have a good race, then I feel like it can definitely change your season. And then having the year that I did have, I think I had a bit of ego take over, and I thought I belonged there and all that sort of stuff, and it was just all rubbish. It's a figment of your imagination. It's all doesn't mean anything. So you put that unfair pressure on yourself, and then you're also thinking, oh, this person expects me to make it. They're not better than me. I'm better than this person. Oh, I'm doing it for my coach, my family, and it all starts to get quite daunting. But at the end of the day, literally all you can do is go out and do your best, and that's all anybody can ask, and that's all I did.
Yeah, great. And then what happened in the final? Take us through the Open Aussie Ironman final this year. Yeah,
it was a red hot lineup. There was 16 guys in it, and best Ironman ever. Shannon next time was in it. So it was it was a pretty stacked final. It was ski, board, swim. I found myself come out of a good order in the ski. I went around in the pack on the board. There was probably half a dozen of us running out, and from second to about 9th. On the way in, I just picked the right swim line on the way out, on the way in, and found myself in a sprint finish for third. So about as good as I can actually do a race, I think. What
was going through your head, Max, as you ran to the finish line knowing that you're podium position?
I didn't know I was podium position. I was freaking out. I felt it was an out-of-body experience. I was waiting for somebody to come and tap me on the shoulder and say well done, or because it didn't seem real. I beat another one of my heroes, Nathan Smith, up the beach, who's been a world and Australian champion himself, and then I only saw two other guys in front of me, so I nearly had to pinch myself.
And what was the conversation you had immediately after finishing? Who was the first person you spoke with?
I ran through and I saw Shannon, as he always does, doing interviews at the end, looking super relaxed. I was like, okay, he's won. And I was sort of looking around, wondering who got second. And Dane Farrell, a guy from New South Wales, got second, and he was just as stoked as me. So it was cool to have somebody to bounce that emotion off as soon as I got across the line.
Yeah, really cool. And Max, as a junior, starting the sport, did you ever think you'd be podium in, finishing in the Open Aussie Ironman final?
It's hard to say. I mean, when I was 15s and 17s and I was still getting a lot of solid results, I mean, yeah, I always thought it was going to be, I was going to have a crack at it. But second year 19s, I didn't even make the under-19 Australian Ironman final. The first 2 years, I didn't make the Australian Open final, being an Open. And it wasn't until the last 2 years, and especially this year, the goal sort of got away from me, and then I didn't know that I was 100%. I always thought I was capable if I committed 100%, but I just never really did, and I'm not sure what I was worried about. But after doing it this year, I say I was surprised, but I honestly wasn't. I think that there's 16 guys in that race, and they're all phenomenal athletes, and you know what I mean. I think I was just the one on the day that was lucky enough to stand up there with them.
Max, tell me about your training week in the lead up to these races, such as the Aussies and the Nutrigrain Ironman series, which for overseas listeners is anywhere from sort of around 5 to 6 races in a series. It runs across the summer here in Australia, multiple locations around Australia, racing in the surf, swim, board, ski, run, all different formats. What's your week look like in terms of the breakdown of training? How many sessions of each leg? And
yeah, a typical week for us would consist of 4 swim, 2 specific Ironman sessions, 2 run, 2 gym, 3 board, 3 ski. And I like to get a mental strength session in there once a month as well with my coach. So I think it's around 16 or 17 sessions a week. Plus you got to, get your physio in, eating habits right. And for me, I'm still supplementing my income with a bit of work. So it definitely takes a bit of balance.
Yeah, wow. What's the key to good balance, Max?
A good support crew. I mean, my coach is very understanding. My boss is very understanding. My parents are understanding. And I think that's what you need to get to that next level. I was always nurtured. My physical talent was always nurtured at previous clubs, but it wasn't until this year that that they really took on and cared about Max Beattie the person, which was really cool and definitely helped me flourish as an athlete this year.
You mentioned mental strength session. What's that involve?
I get together with my idol and one of my best mates and my hero, Trevor, once a month, and just talk about a few stuff, feelings, emotions, how you feel about racing, and yeah, I don't want to go in too depth because it's quite intense, but yeah, it really helps you clear a few things and makes you feel. It actually feels like you get the weight of the world off your shoulders after talking to him. He really knows what he's on about.
And that's Trevor Hendy, Ironman great of the sport. Is that someone that you looked up to, Max?
You know what I mean? When I was down in New South Wales, I didn't really embrace the clubby culture too much. I always knew who the Zane Holmeses were of the sports and that sort of thing. But I suppose when I moved to Northcliffe and ever since, I've just idolised Shane Eckstein. Everything about him, the way he races is how I want to race. The races that he wins are the races that I want to win. And yeah, for me, it was definitely Shane Eckstein. But the more I've grown up, and sort of, looked back at YouTube and results and got to know Trevor as a person, he's definitely a hero of mine. He's absolutely amazing.
Wow, fantastic. So a great opportunity to be able to sit with someone that you've admired and actually learn from.
Absolutely.
Them. Yeah, terrific, Max. Max, what's the one training session you like the most?
That would be a flat water board session at our club. I think we've got the strongest board paddling club in the world. We have five guys in the Australian board race final this year, so it gets pretty heated, a few arguments, but yeah, it's really awesome. You can definitely better yourself every session, and when you're doing it with your best mates, it's pretty easy.
Disliked? Least liked
disliked
session?
Oh, it's hard to go past Monday morning swimming. I mean, getting up at 4:17 a.m. and getting in the pool and trying to swim 6 to 7k is something that I've been doing the sport for a few years now, and it's something that I've never been able to get my head around. It's still always hard work.
4:17 a.m.
Yeah, 4:17, 17 past 4. Yeah, I've got it down to an art now. Yeah.
Why the 17?
I don't know. I had a training partner a couple of years ago, and we just decided, when we were waking up, that was the ideal time we needed to get up, make coffee, watch a bit of TV, get in the car, and get there in time. So yeah,
For a 5 a.m. start.
for a 5 a.m. start. Yeah.
You mentioned coffee.
Yep.
What are your fuel sources?
I'm huge on coffee.
And listen, he's got a cup just beside him as we do the interview.
Yeah, I don't know. I got my mum. My mum's quite good with nutrition, so she keeps on top of it for me. But I do take a few supplements. I take, protein after I finish all my sessions. In the mornings, I take magnesium, immune support, Mega B complex. And I like to just keep hydrated. I don't eat any sugars, extra sugar during the day, so I try to cut fructose pretty much out of my diet. But then lots of carbs, lots of protein, a pretty normal athlete diet, I think.
And Max, in terms of your support crew, you've mentioned that there's something that you felt really clicked into place for you as your results really took off this year. What's the number one thing you've learnt through your journey with your support crew so far?
Trev said it to me. Ironman is what I do, and it's not who I am, which was a really cool thing for me. I mean, sometimes you get so caught up in it all that actually becomes quite consuming, and you know what I mean? You need to realise that there is a bigger picture, and that your mates do like you for more than just your results, and in the scheme of things, it actually doesn't mean that much. Ironman racing is what I do, but not who I am, which has really resonated with me for a long time.
And is that when Trevor mentioned that to you the first time you'd heard that and joined those dots?
Yeah, it struck a chord with me straight away, because I'd never actually known how to sort of aptly sum it up, and he said those words, and I've actually, it hit home pretty quick.
Yeah, and it's such a, Max, in looking at athletes transition beyond their sporting careers, that distinction between it's what you do, not who you are, I find is the key ingredient to whether it's a successful transition out of the sport or one that's paved with a lot of agony and pain and dysfunction, and in terms of relationships and some of the challenges that become very public for some of Australia and international sporting stars. It's such a key learning. So that's terrific. You got that down at the young age of 24 years. Max, what's one piece of advice you would give to people who are looking to pursue their physical best performance?
Just make sure they're enjoying it. I mean, I think that's just such a key thing. When I was doing it, through my late teens and early 20s, I sort of just did it because it was the thing I did the year before, and it was the, you know what I mean? I sort of lost the reason I did it, but if you really love it, it actually doesn't become that harder work, and all the early mornings, all the Monday morning swim sessions, all the hard work, all the gym is fully worth it if you love what you're doing.
Great. Has there been a time in your professional sporting career where your commitment has wavered?
Yeah, a few times. So probably the last 2 or 3 years for me trying to qualify into the professional Ironman series has been really tough. In all rights, I should have already been there for a couple of years before this year. I was pretty unlucky at the trials every year, and that gets you down, and that definitely sits in the back of your head, and it's definitely something that is quite hard to shake, especially when you go to the next trials, or you think that a lot of people are probably talking about it, and they're probably not, but it's actually something that gets you down, and for me that was a real hurdle, is trying to overcome those past experiences and forget about those, and fully be present and worry about the race or the thing you got to do in front of you.
What was it that would get you down?
Looking at all my friends and guys who, I thought I was on par with as an athlete, achieving their dreams, and not that I wasn't happy for them, I just sort of didn't understand what I was doing wrong, because I did all the same training sessions as them, I did all the right things, and even still when it came to doing the trials, I was always putting myself in these positions to go well. But I just never ended up getting the result, and so it's really hard. You don't know whether it's all worth it sometimes, and yeah, it took me a while to get, especially the last couple of years, it took me a while to get over it because, you know what I mean, you do put in all those hours, and sometimes people say the result's not worth it, but the result's the only thing that's tangible, and sometimes it's hard to, you know what I mean, look at the bigger picture. But yeah, the hardest thing was looking at all my mates achieving their dreams, and wasn't that I wasn't happy for them, it was just that I just didn't understand what I was doing wrong, and I suppose that's just the nature of our sport. And in all honesty, I think it's made me a better athlete now, having missed out the last few years.
And so getting into the Nutrigrain series, which is televised and certainly, you know, outside of the Aussies, you know, Ironman title is super prestigious in the sport. Most eyes potentially on that than anything, more eyes than anything. Max, what was that like, putting the Nutrigrain singlet on for the first time?
It sounds cliche, but it was a dream come true. I got to share it with a really good mate of mine named Corey Taylor, and we've been having ding-dong battles pretty much our whole career, so it was really cool to share it with him. But I stood up there, stood up there with a name on the back of my togs, with the green rashy that you get, and it was pretty surreal. There's, you know, a few thousand people there down to watch us at the beach, and I think I might have lined up maybe next to Shannon on my first race, and it was just a real pinch yourself moment.
What was going through your head on the start line?
It's not too much, you know what I mean. I sort of knew what we had to do. I had Ali Day, who was the previous Nutrigrain Ironman champ. He's my number one training partner, so he was quite a good guy to have bounce ideas off and thoughts and feelings, because he's been through it all before. But before we do all our warm ups, and I just had a yarn to him about a few things, but at the end of the day, you know, it was just a matter of going out and doing your best. It was, you know what I mean, that's all anybody can ever do. It sounds cheesy, but it's a reality. So I just knew that I had to. It was just one step at a time. Just run down and grab my ski, and you know what I mean. I've done a million Ironmans in my life. It was just a matter of doing another one. And
in those opening rounds for you up at Coolum on the Sunshine Coast here in Australia were successful. What were your results?
I finished up with an 11th on the first day in round one, which was honestly exceeded my expectations. I thought going into the series, if I could have, got a couple of top 10s, I would have been really, really happy with that. And then, on the Tuesday, I found myself mixing up for a podium and ended up with a 4th, which blew my mind.
And I was there actually for that race, and quite excited to see you come through with a storming last run across the line. What was going through your head as you realised you were so far up there at that stage? Oh, it was it's amazing, because you see, especially when you're an outsider looking in, you see those eliminator format races, and you know what I mean. It was Shannon Exine, Ali Day, and Matt Bevilacqua, who are the top 3 guys in the series at the moment, and then I was next, and so it was really exciting. There's all my family and friends. Running up the chute and gave him a high five and all that sort of stuff. It was really exciting, sense of relief, and definitely a sense of being absolutely exhausted as well. Did you feel at that point that you'd almost come of age in your Ironman racing?
Definitely. It was that weekend that I sort of felt like I belonged a bit more. Even making the series that year, I still felt like I was going to be one of the guys who just made up the numbers, who, you know what I mean, round out the field all the time. But when you got that 4th, it actually it was really good for my mentality, just knowing that I belonged up there with the top guys.
What's the scene like in New Zealand with surf lifesaving compared to Australia?
It's just as big. They have huge numbers over there at their nationals. I suppose the fact that they can't really train day in, day out we do here in Australia, makes probably them suffer ability wise. When I go over to New Zealand Nationals and I race the Ironman final, there's probably 4 or 5 guys that I'm realistically racing. When I get over here, I'm racing the best part of 60 guys that are all very, very capable of not only making the Australian Ironman final but winning it. So they definitely have the ability. The depth isn't quite there yet for Ironman racing. But they've got loads and loads of good board paddlers, loads of good ski paddlers, good beach sprinters, good beach flaggers. So surf lifesaving as a whole is very strong over there. The Ironman racing side of things, there's 2 of us in the Nutrigrain series this year, in the men's side and one in the women's side, which hadn't been done before. So it's definitely improving, and it's really exciting to be a part of it, actually.
And the New Zealand Ironman fraternity, surf lifesaving fraternity, must fly your flag quite parochially, I imagine.
Yeah, they get
patriarchally. Well, let's ignore on that. You should be able to look up this dictionary.
However they say
patriotically. You got it. Teamwork.
Yeah, they do. They really embrace it. I mean, it's probably since Dan Moody, which is nearly 10 years ago now, and then Corey Hutchings, who was obviously a superstar back in the day. They haven't really had anybody in the series, so to have three of us in it this year, they really pumped it up. They got us on TV, got us on radio, and they were really excited about it. So, when you have a whole country behind you like that, that does add an element of pressure, but it's exciting knowing there's that many people backing you, for sure.
Have you got some nippers coming through juniors that look to you now in New Zealand?
Yeah, we do have a few. There's like I said, the sport is growing over there, and they've got a really good nippers program. And every now and then you get stopped and asked for a autograph on the beach or a photo, which is pretty flattering. Because they definitely embrace it over there, and they know all about the Shannons and the Alleys of the world. And now that myself, Corey, and Danielle McKenzie are over there, they start to sort of see that maybe that Ironman dream is a little bit possible now.
Yeah, how fantastic. What's the direction you'd like to see surf lifesaving go in the future?
I think surf lifesaving, the sport at the moment, is really strong. It's disappointing the fact that we have to race in such flat conditions all the time, with obviously Aussies being the exception this year. But the Ironman racing, I suppose the professionalism of it, I mean, I feel like, back in the day, these guys were making tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars being professional Ironmen, even if you weren't winning races. And I just feel like financially, I probably don't think that we get the recognition that we deserve for the amount of hours we put in. You look at rugby players and Aussie rules players and all these sorts of guys they put on pedestals and they're really looked after. But honestly, Shannon Eckstein is literally the greatest athlete I've ever seen in my life, and that's just one example of a guy who, I feel like we deserve more financially in our sport. And if people knew what it took to do Ironman racing, I feel like they would, they'd get behind it a lot more.
So what do you think's missing?
I'm not really sure. Like I said, this was only my first year in the series, but I suppose it's hard for people to relate to surf lifesaving. I mean, everybody can grab a ball and kick it, or grab a tennis ball and hit it, or grab a golf ball with a golf club and hit it. Not everybody can take an 18-foot ski, out in 6-foot surf, because it's super. People in Western Sydney don't know who Shannon Eckstein or Ali Day is, and they should. These guys should be household names. Trevor Hendy was back in his day, and I suppose it's that element of not being able to relate the sport to people who don't know what it's about is probably the main thing.
Spending a lot of time in the water.
Yep.
What's the scariest thing you've ever seen in the surf?
Scariest thing I've ever seen. Different element of scary is seeing how fast Shannon can go. That's one element that scares me, but nothing too scary. I suppose I've been intimidated by the surf a few times. I haven't really seen too many big sharks or anything like that.
As in, you haven't seen too many big ones, so you've seen plenty of small ones?
Yeah, I've seen a couple little sharks, but they're not doing much. I'll beat them up before they hit me.
What's the funniest thing you've ever seen in the world of surf?
I saw Matt Poole punch his ski once after an Ironman race, and that put me in stitches. I also saw one of my good mates, Zach Orchard, run up the beach in a board final, drop his board and then kick it, which is really bad sportsmanship. But when you see one of your best mates do it, it actually makes you laugh quite a bit.
So Matt or Zach, if you're listening in, it's a tribute to you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks for the funny moments. And Max, going forwards, what's on your bucket list in your sporting career?
For me, I think like any Ironman, I'd love to win the World Ironman title, Nutrigrain Ironman title, Australian Ironman title, and the Coolangatta Gold, if all things are permitted. For me, and I know it's a lofty dream, but I'd love to win 10 New Zealand Ironman titles with Corey Hutchings. I think only being 24 and already having won 4, I think I've got at least another 10 years in the sport. If you look at guys like Sharon, like Wes Berger, like Nathan Smith, even Phil Clayton up to a couple of years ago are all staying in the sport well into their 30s. So I think if I manage my body properly, that's not too lofty of a dream. But yeah, I'd love to win. I'd love to keep beating Australia at the world titles every year with my New Zealand team. I'm super passionate about racing for them, so I've definitely got a few. But yeah, individually, the big 4 Ironman titles is what I want to do.
Terrific. Bucket list personally, Max? What's on that?
I'm not really sure. I'm sort of living the way I want to live at the moment. I've got a steady job, great family, great friends. I love the sport that I'm doing. I don't really know. I'd love to be able to get out and travel a bit more, or even just be a full-time athlete is probably the first goal that I want to achieve. I want to, get enough sponsors on board and enough prize money where I can actually make that my job, which would be awesome. Because it's been the dream forever, is to become a professional athlete. So for me, that's the first thing. And then after that, I'm not really sure what I want to do after I've finished clubbies. Everybody said it to me a lot of times, but I'm thinking maybe, I might get into journalism or something like that after I'm finished, but I'm actually not too sure yet. Just take each day as it comes.
Podcasting.
Yeah, podcasting with the Physical Performance Show. I'll take over.
Max, you mentioned that, obviously Shannon Eckstein, Ironman great, someone that you respect greatly, and you've also mentioned a few other people. Who's the one athlete that you've looked to the most, or is it Shannon?
Oh man, that's tricky. Yeah, it probably was Shannon. I mean, when I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 at Northcliffe, and then I started racing him when I raced for New Zealand versus Australia. He's just the most intimidating character on the beach. When you know that somebody's that good, it's sort of hard to forget about it when you line up against him. But he's definitely somebody that I greatly admire, because I have seen all the work that he did. I was at his club, and it fully deserves all the accolades he gets.
What do you think is the secret to Shannon's success?
Oh my God. A combination of hard work, talent, commitment. I think he probably could have done a few different sports himself. I've seen him kick a football. He's pretty talented. I'm pretty sure he plays off like 2 at golf or something as well. So he's definitely got the talent there, but he's got flawless technique. You can just see the hours he's put in when he was young to make him as good as he is now. I think that has a lot to do with growing up with his brother Kane, who's a phenomenal athlete in his own right. I think a combination of training, commitment, talent. I think he's just found that balance in life, and he's killed it.
Max, how can listeners follow your Ironman journey?
They can go to my athlete page on Facebook, which is just Max Beattie, MaxBeattie, or go over to Instagram, which is Max_Beattie, spelled the same.
Fantastic. And come the 2016-17 Nutrigrain Ironman series, will we find you in that?
We can only hope. Got some trials and some wild cards being handed out in the next few months. I'm travelling over to the Netherlands to do the World Championships in September. So the immediate goal is to win that. But then after that, it's on to the Nutrigrain, and hopefully everybody will see me there.
And that's with the Surfers Paradise Surf Lifesaving Club?
Yep. It's with New Zealand. So we do the national teams first week, where all the countries race with each other, and then the next week it's you representing your club. So I'll be doing both.
Fantastic. With your coach, mutual friend of ours, Zane Hamill. Must be exciting to get those opportunities in an individual sport to share it. As you said, you found that transition away from self more to the enjoyment of doing it with others. Is something you're looking forward to?
Yeah, it's been really cool, because I've trained with surfers a few times before I even joined Surfers Paradise, just because they do offer a really nurturing atmosphere up at Surfers, and Zane's a phenomenal coach. He's one of the best in the business, and I think it's cool that the last few years he's had some really committed athletes to train, because he's probably flown under the radar as a coach, because he's really awesome, and the time and effort he puts in and the care he takes in his athletes is unrivaled.
Fantastic. And I believe the water is going to be cold in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I think it's meant to be somewhere between maybe 14 and 18 degrees for the weeks that we're racing, and then I think there's only like 5 hours of sunlight each day or something with no surf. It's meant to be pretty miserable, but I've got to get it done. Good location for the World Ironman titles. I know. I once jumped in Auckland Harbour, your homeland. That's just 11 degrees for a triathlon championships, and that was brutal. So, I wouldn't be doing that either. So you've got nothing to complain about, Max, at 14, 18 degrees. Yeah. No, mate. In all seriousness, we wish you all the very best for the pursuit of these goals, and for the upcoming World Championships, and also the Nutrigrain series for the summer ahead as it comes around. And all the very best, Max. Thanks for coming on the Physical Performance Show. Awesome. Thanks for having me, mate.
Listeners, there you have it. I trust you enjoyed that insight into the world of a professional surf lifesaver, Ironman Max Beattie. Max is off to qualification for the 2016-2017 Kellogg's Nutrigrain series, which will take place in, I believe, February, across 3 days down at Cronulla in a modified version, but an exciting version in that it's returning to live broadcasting on our Australian TV sets. So follow follow Max Journey in the new year with the launch of the Kellogg series across summer. Coming up, guys, on the Physical Performance Show, I caught up with my first interview of a couple. This isn't any ordinary couple. This is an extraordinary young couple who have overcome incredible adversity. I caught up with Barney and Kate Miller. Barney and Kate recently had their story told in a documentary that's gone on to do extraordinary things called You and Me. And the story of Barney and Kate will move you in every way. Barney became a quadriplegic at the age of 18, 19 years and has since gone on to do extraordinary things, culminating in what will be shortly a representation of Australia in surfing for his classification. Kate also has been incredibly intricate on this journey, and Kate will share her side of the journey, plus her exciting career as it is emerging as a talented performer and vocalist musician herself. So you're going to really enjoy that episode of the Physical Performance Show, episode 28. You don't want to miss it. Tune in next week for the Physical Performance Show. In the meantime, if you've got any questions or comments, you want to engage on social media, you'll find me at Brad_beer for Twitter and Instagram. Feel free to share the episodes around with fellow performers like yourself who are seeking to get their best out of themselves. And if you would like to leave a review, I'd really appreciate that. That just helps the show get more visible. If you don't like this show, leave 1 star. If you do like the show, join the other people who are rating it really highly, which I really, really appreciate. If you've got any guests in mind that you think would be great on the Physical Performance Show, please drop me a note and let me know. And in the meantime, keep pursuing your physical best. This has been Brad Beer and the Physical Performance Show.